She booked a one-way ticket and left the country without a single goodbye to the cameras, to the fame, to the life she'd worked so hard to build. Jasmine Pineda is gone from America forever. And no, this wasn't a dramatic stunt for reality TV. Allegedly, it was a move fueled by betrayal, manipulation, and a growing frustration that her life had become someone else's storyline. Imagine building your world in front of millions, only to realize every tear, every fight, every declaration of love was edited, repurposed, and monetized without your say. That was Jasmine's reality. Hi, I'm Jessica, and welcome back to Reality Spots. If you're here for the raw truth behind the 90-day Fiancé drama, hit that subscribe button and comment below with your hot take. Was Jasmine a victim of the system, or did she finally outsmart it? By now, fans were used to her feisty energy, her passionate defenses of love, her bold opinions that lit up every episode. But behind the cameras, insiders say she felt trapped. The bright lights hid endless reshoots, scripted prompts, and constant reminders to remember the argument just before filming, making her relive tensions that should have stayed in the past. Her on-screen persona, emotional, erratic, even jealous, was allegedly manufactured for ratings. Every intimate moment, every tear, every confession supposedly became someone else's property, rewritten and repackaged without her approval. And then there was the money. Reports claim that TLC allegedly made nearly $70,000 from branded content and digital shorts tied directly to Jasmine's image. She never saw a penny. Oral promises, loyalty incentives, assurances that her participation would be rewarded. Gone. All while she was told that everything she did on camera belonged to the network. Every confession, every heartbreak, every Instagram crossover post claimed as theirs. The emotional weight alone would have crushed most people, but the financial betrayal added a sharp, cold edge. She was at a crossroads. Keep playing the role, remain a star with a carefully curated image, or reclaim her life and walk away. Jasmine chose freedom. She packed quietly, left her apartment, and flew out of America with nothing but her suitcase and her dignity intact. Fans would notice her absence immediately, but the question remained, why leave now? And what exactly had pushed her to this extreme? The answer might shock you. Allegedly, it all comes down to that $70,000, a hidden battle between her and the network that could rewrite everything you thought you knew about reality TV manipulation. It's easy to look at 90-Day Fiancé and see the drama, the fights, the tears, and assume it's all real. On screen, Jasmine Pineda's world seemed chaotic, filled with fiery arguments and emotional roller coasters. Behind the scenes, insiders say that chaos was meticulously crafted. Producers allegedly didn't just film reality, they allegedly orchestrated it. Every heated exchange, every jealous glance, even the way Jasmine cried, was allegedly guided for maximum tension. Imagine being told to relive every past fight right before the cameras roll, to recall arguments you thought were long buried, and to express frustration just as scripted. Reports suggest she was reminded of disputes from weeks or even months earlier, ensuring every scene felt spontaneous on screen while actually being carefully manipulated. That's the psychology of reality TV manipulation, making people react to constructed situations while convincing them it's their natural response. Jasmine, by all accounts, was aware something was off. She reportedly started noticing patterns. Her emotional highs were being highlighted, her accomplishments and tender moments with Gino were left on the cutting room floor. Editors allegedly stitched together moments to exaggerate instability and envy. The woman fans loved for her boldness began questioning herself. Was she really overreacting, or was this just how the cameras made her appear? That self-doubt can be crushing. She was living in a mirror maze, seeing reflections that weren't entirely hers, constantly performing, always watched. The emotional toll was significant. Sources claim Jasmine often cried after filming, alone, grappling with feelings of exhaustion and invisibility. She questioned her own reactions, her love for Gino, and even the American dream she thought she had chased. Isolation reportedly crept in as her online persona and real self diverged. Every fan comment, every clip, every edited scene reinforced the sense that she was no longer in control. Here's the kicker. It's not just about drama for viewers. Reports suggest producers were incentivized by ratings, by engagement, and allegedly even by bonuses tied to creating conflict. They allegedly turned personal struggles into content, effectively making Jasmine's pain part of a monetized system. In my opinion, it's a clever but ethically gray machine, captivating to audiences, potentially devastating to the person living it. Fans would have noticed inconsistencies eventually. Clips were sometimes reused, arguments spliced together, emotional peaks exaggerated. That's why insider leaks began surfacing. Former crew members hinted at behind-the-scenes tactics that would make you question everything you'd seen on screen. Public outrage was brewing before Jasmine even left the country. The more people realized the network might be shaping her story instead of letting it unfold naturally, the more questions started piling up, and the big question remained. Was Jasmine being silenced into compliance? Or was she being exploited financially at the same time? Did the network control her narrative and her paycheck simultaneously? Allegedly, both were happening, and it wasn't long before she hit her breaking point. Just when you thought the drama was all tears and arguments, the money entered the picture, and suddenly the stakes got much higher. Reports claim that TLC allegedly earned nearly $70,000 from branded content, digital shorts, and online cross-promotions that featured Jasmine's image and storyline. On paper, the network supposedly had the rights to her likeness, but according to insiders, Jasmine had been orally promised a share as part of a new loyalty incentive. The promise sounded fair. The contract? A completely different story. Imagine pouring your heart into a show, risking your reputation and emotional health, only to find that every confession, every tear, every promotional post could legally belong to someone else. That's allegedly what happened. She discovered the money existed only after noticing spikes in online engagement linked directly to her content. When she asked for clarity, insiders say the network dismissed her concerns, insisting everything she did on camera belonged to them. Every sponsored post, every confession, even crossover appearances were supposedly theirs to monetize. The result? Jasmine felt cornered, invisible, and exploited in a system designed to reward drama while ignoring human cost. The emotional fallout was huge. Anxiety reportedly took over her daily life. She began questioning trust, not just in the network, but in her love for Gino and even her own judgment. Was she overreacting? Had she misread the loyalty promises? Or had the system really duped her, turning her emotions and identity into revenue streams? In my opinion, this is classic reality TV exploitation. The production machine makes millions off your pain while you're left with little more than edited footage and a growing sense of betrayal. There's a certain irony here. Jasmine, once celebrated for her boldness, became trapped by the very fame she'd sought. And while the cameras caught her fighting for love and truth, the network was allegedly profiting silently, reinforcing the idea that reality TV isn't always about relationships. It's about control, leverage, and calculated storytelling. And fans? They only saw the edited highlights, none of the manipulation or financial games behind the scenes. At this point, insiders say Jasmine reached a breaking point. The question on everyone's mind: would she fold and accept the network's extension deal for another season, trading integrity for money? Or would she push back and reclaim her voice? Allegedly, the answer was far from simple. She had to weigh career, love, and self-respect against the very system that made her a star. And that decision, reportedly, set the stage for the most shocking chapter of her story. The moment Jasmine made her final decision, it wasn't flashy. There were no cameras rolling, no dramatic announcements. She reportedly bought a one-way ticket out of America, quietly packed what she could, and left behind the fame, the fights, and the editing room chaos. Every step was deliberate, every action a reclaiming of control that had been stripped from her for years. Imagine the weight of knowing you are walking away from millions of viewers, thousands of fans, and the career you built, all to protect your own mind and soul. That's the level of courage insiders say Jasmine displayed. But it wasn't simple. Reports suggest that TLC allegedly tried to influence her exit. They reportedly wanted her to film farewell confessions, stage scenes, anything that could soften the blow to ratings or spin the departure as emotional instability rather than defiance. Every outreach, every attempt allegedly felt like one more control tactic, reminding her of the narrative they had built, hoping to pull her back into the storyline. Yet Jasmine reportedly stayed firm, refusing to perform for the cameras, refusing to be edited into a villain or a victim. Emotionally, it was a roller coaster. Sadness? Yes. Leaving behind Gino, her friends, and a country she'd once dreamed of calling home. But alongside that sadness came relief, and then liberation. Reports suggest she felt lighter with every step toward the airport, every mile closer to Panama. Freedom finally. After years of being shaped, prompted, and monetized by a machine that prioritized drama over humanity, and insiders say the ripple effects were immediate. Fans noticed her silence on social media, her sudden absence from public events, and the lack of promotional appearances. Conversations exploded online. Supporters, former cast members, and even some insiders allegedly began sharing glimpses of the behind-the-scenes reality, fueling speculation and outrage. The story that had been tightly controlled was suddenly slipping out fragment by fragment. And here's the kicker. Her departure didn't just mark a personal victory. It reportedly set the stage for a potential public reckoning. Fans and insiders were already starting to question everything. The contracts, the edits, the alleged $70,000, and the system that allegedly allowed manipulation to thrive. Jasmine had left, but her choice created more than a disappearing act. It opened a question that would haunt the network and the fandom alike. Was this the end of her story, or the beginning of a movement that could finally hold TLC accountable? The moment Jasmine vanished from the public eye, the internet erupted. Fans immediately noticed the sudden silence on Instagram, Cameo, and other social channels. Within hours, hashtags reportedly began trending, calling for justice and answers. Supporters scoured episodes, paused clips, and cross-checked timelines, piecing together what felt like a puzzle the network had deliberately scrambled. Some pointed out inconsistencies in edits, others shared old confessional moments that suddenly felt manipulated. The excitement wasn't just about gossip, it was about exposing a system allegedly built to control, silence, and profit from cast members' lives. Leaked memos allegedly started surfacing online. Screenshots from former crew members reportedly revealed internal discussions about payments, narrative control, and how best to frame Jasmine's exit. Fans pounced on every detail, connecting dots and questioning past storylines. Suddenly, the narrative that once seemed like reality TV magic now looked scripted, financially calculated, and emotionally exploitative. Audiences reacted with outrage, but also empathy. Many expressed shock at how someone they'd cheered for could be maneuvered and misrepresented for ratings. Others reflected on their own experiences with manipulation or unmet promises, making Jasmine's story hit even harder. In my opinion, this was a rare moment where viewers started seeing behind the camera, realizing the disparity between the polished drama on screen and the human cost behind it. Witty commentary floated across fan forums. Comments like, "So TLC made tears a product and jealousy a currency?" And "We watched her love story, but the real plot was financial," captured both amusement and disbelief. Fans weren't just entertained, they were analyzing, criticizing, and, most importantly, validating Jasmine's experience. Her pain and defiance suddenly resonated on a scale no single confession could achieve. And while the internet buzzed with excitement and anger, one pressing question lingered. How would TLC respond? Would they acknowledge the alleged $70,000 dispute and manipulation claims, or would they double down on silence and damage control, letting rumors swirl unchecked? Jasmine had walked away, but the storm she left behind was growing. Fans were demanding answers, insiders were speaking out, and every viral post threatened to pull back the curtain on the machine that had profited from her. The question now wasn't just about her exit, it was about the power struggle between a network that allegedly controls narratives and a former cast member who refused to be edited into submission. As the hashtags trended and fans dissected every clip, TLC reportedly went into crisis mode behind closed doors. Sources suggest the network scrambled to strategize, balancing fear of public backlash with a desire to protect their most profitable franchise. Leaks claim internal meetings discussed controlling the narrative, framing Jasmine's departure as emotional burnout rather than defiance, and avoiding any mention of the alleged $70,000 dispute. The message, allegedly, was clear. The story would remain theirs to tell, and any inconvenient truths about financial exploitation or manipulation had to be buried. Fans watching from the outside couldn't see these meetings, but the results were clear. Social media channels reportedly went quiet, previously scheduled promos featuring Jasmine disappeared, and certain posts were allegedly deleted or deprioritized. Some insiders claimed the network tried to silence former cast members who had begun speaking out, reminding them of confidentiality agreements and threatening legal action if they went public. Every move suggested that control extended beyond the cameras, into the very digital platforms where fans were piecing together the story. But the internet doesn't forget. Screenshots, leaked emails, and anonymous tips reportedly started surfacing on Reddit, TikTok, and fan forums. Allegedly, these messages revealed that TLC executives had been aware of the financial disputes and emotional toll on cast members, but prioritized ratings and profit over transparency. Suddenly, the network's polished image clashed with a growing narrative of exploitation and manipulation. Fans, many of whom had long loved the show, now questioned whether anything they'd seen had been genuine or carefully curated for maximum drama. The irony wasn't lost. Jasmine, once framed as dramatic or unstable on screen, became the face of resistance, while the network, previously untouchable, faced the scrutiny that their stars had long endured. Some insiders reportedly described an atmosphere of panic, with legal teams drafting cease and desist letters, PR teams brainstorming ways to humanize the network without admitting wrongdoing, and producers desperately trying to re-edit the season finale to minimize the impact of Jasmine's absence. And while TLC tried to tighten control, one question lingered louder than any press statement or edited footage. Could they really contain the fallout? Or had Jasmine's exit opened a door that no amount of silence or strategic edits could close? In my opinion, this is classic corporate maneuvering. Control the story, manage optics, and protect the brand at all costs. But the stakes had shifted. Fans weren't just passive viewers anymore. They were investigators, commentators, and advocates, questioning contracts, editing practices, and ethical boundaries. The network's attempts at damage control, while extensive, reportedly only amplified scrutiny, as each deleted post or edited promo became a talking point online. Jasmine had left quietly, but the ripple effects were loud, messy, and very public. Fans were now asking the hard questions. Who really controls reality TV? And what happens when someone refuses to play by the script? The answer wasn't coming easily, and TLC's next move would either contain the storm or fuel it even further. Once Jasmine set foot back in Panama, the story shifted from a disappearing act to a reinvention. Away from the cameras, away from the constant prompting and manipulation, she reportedly started reclaiming the life that reality TV had nearly consumed. Sources suggest she reconnected with family and friends, rediscovered personal passions, and slowly began processing the emotional toll of years under a lens that prioritized spectacle over humanity. Every step she took was reportedly deliberate, a quiet rebellion against the system that had turned her tears and confessions into ratings. But the transformation wasn't just personal, it was public. Jasmine's absence sparked online curiosity, and fragments of her story leaked, hinting at financial disputes, manipulative production tactics, and emotional exploitation. Fans were ready, waiting to hear the truth, and insiders suggest she began to prepare a more formal account of her experiences. Her journey from manipulated reality star to independent whistleblower became a narrative in itself, turning a tale of betrayal into a story of empowerment. Emotionally, the impact was profound. Sources close to her claim that Jasmine finally felt a sense of control over her narrative, no longer bound by scripts, selective edits, or network expectations. She reportedly began drafting her book, tentatively titled Unedited, chronicling her reality TV experience, the emotional strain, and the alleged $70,000 she never saw. Pages reportedly include personal reflections, contract insights, and behind-the-scenes observations that challenge the polished image the network had spent years cultivating. And here's where it gets interesting. The leaks weren't just stories. They were proof that a system many viewers trusted for authenticity allegedly prioritized drama, profit, and manipulation above its cast. Fans and former cast members reportedly began reaching out, corroborating her claims, and the online conversation shifted from gossip to accountability. Jasmine's emergence as a whistleblower reportedly resonated far beyond her own story. Former cast members, editors, and even crew began sharing anonymous accounts of similar experiences, being pressured to stay in toxic storylines, having confessional footage edited against context, and facing financial oversight that heavily favored the network. Each post, screenshot, or tip amplified her credibility and painted a larger picture of systemic manipulation that had been hidden behind the glossy reality TV facade. Witty commentary online reportedly noted the irony. The network spent years crafting Jasmine's unstable persona for the camera, and yet it was that same persona, stripped of editing, that became the vehicle for exposing alleged exploitation. Social media became her megaphone, turning a story of personal defiance into a public reckoning. Fans applauded her courage.